I'm Richard Lewis, reporting for cadred.org. I'm here with 3K2 from Reason Gaming. You've just won the Danish Championships, so I imagine you're feeling pretty good right now.
Yeah, I mean, we started off pretty badly, but then we came back and we did well on the last two maps, so we're pretty confident.
Did Speedgaming surprise you at all? Because I think, realistically, a lot of people will be looking at them and thinking they're not going to do much this LAN, but they took a map from you and gave you quite a good game.
Yeah, well, we weren't surprised. I can imagine why people would be surprised, because they haven't really done that well internationally at least. But I mean, we've beaten them a lot of times, and they don't want to practice against us anymore, and they really prepare for us.
Yeah, they said they've never beaten you in competition overall. So
yeah, and they really want to beat us. So we were pretty prepared for them being good, especially against us. We didn't expect to lose the first map after coming off to such a good start. I mean, we got 8 rounds as T on Inferno, but then just got raped second half.
Were you not holding back strats though? A lot of people were maybe thinking that you were holding something back and saving it for the real tournament rather than just the Danish Championships thing. Was that not going on?
Well, actually, as CT we don't really have like that many things to hold back. I mean, our pistol rounds we didn't use, but we actually wanted to hold back a few strats as T, but then we won that half anyways. And then as CT they just counted the normal setups we do, and they knew our rotations, and yeah, that's just what happened.
But of course, attention now has to be focused on the actual LAN at hand here in Copenhagen Games. There's a lot of rumours circulating, and I got to address them with you. If you don't do well here, that you might not be with Reason anymore. I mean, have you heard those rumours? Are you aware of that? People are saying that?
I actually only think I've heard about it on cadred comments. Right. It's not like we've been told
It's a reliable source of information.
Yeah. I mean, it's not something anyone from management or anything has talked to us about, but I mean, clearly if we really failed again, then it will make sense if they were having second thoughts about this team. I think at a LAN like this, especially with random seats, I mean, we could get unlucky and meet Very Games very early or something like that. And I think most teams think going into a game against Very Games currently they wouldn't be favorites, and neither would we. So I think it really depends on how we play and not how we finish. I mean, obviously, if we fail at the first good team we meet, then maybe we need to rethink something, but I mean, I don't think it's going to be a problem.
Well, what happened at 30p then? What was so drastically different? Because if you'd have said to me, hey Rich, we're playing this Hungarian team at LAN, right? And I'm just like, okay, yeah, it was Reason who got that in the bag, you know, maybe 16-3, 16-4.
Yeah.
And you were in a comfortable position. I mean, you threw that game away. I mean, as well as they played, all credit to them, all respect to them, you got to admit you threw that away. So what went wrong? I mean, why were things so bad out in Sweden?
Well, I don't really know, because we played really well at LAN up until that point. I mean, we had been playing so well online, and then the first games, I mean, well, obviously the Japanese weren't as good as we might have feared, but also against Epsilon. I mean, we raped them on one map and drew almost on another, and we were playing pretty well. And then we also started off just beating the Hungarians as expected. But
Epsilon actually was saying to me before the game as well how they were like worried, oh, we got Reason.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't want to play you, and you're right, it was a close game. I'm still at a loss to explain what happened. I watched it there before my eyes, the Hungarian game. I mean,
yeah,
Zen went crazy, that's one thing, but still.
Yeah, I really don't know. I mean, we played them like 1 week later online in the EMS qualifier, and we rated them like we were supposed to at LAN, but I don't know what happened. I mean, we clearly aren't as good on non-Byok. I mean, we really like our own PCs.
Why is that?
Well, I think one thing that people don't really think about when they say it's a level playing field, it's that for people with bad PCs at home, I mean, obviously it's going to be, wow, this is nice, but at least for me, it's like, okay, these PCs may not drop under 100 FPS, but I run 700 at home, and everything is just the way I'm used to it. And I just think we don't have a lot of players that are very good at quickly adapting to another setup. So like you could see that in this game as well at the stage in the Danish tournament.
Yeah, well, I heard that once had a bit of trouble with his mouse, and there was a little bit of that going on.
Yeah. I think we're a team that we really rely on being active and that we can aim well. And then suddenly, like on stage here, Wands couldn't use. He couldn't update the frequency on his mouse, so suddenly, like our best fragger just can't frag anymore. That really hurts the team. And I think that's mainly why, like also why we didn't beat Epsilon at 30p LAN, because individually we played a lot more, and online I'm sure we would have beaten them, or if it was on our own PCs. But they're just so good at playing as a team. Yeah. So when both teams are like not aiming as well, then they came out on top.
Well, I got to ask. I mean, because there are people that would. I mean, you're being very honest with those comments, but there are some who would say that makes you less of a competitive side. This inability to adapt. Have you done anything to kind of address that? Is it something that's on your mind? I mean, and does it affect some players in the team more than others?
I think. I don't think we can really. Well, I at least don't know what you can actively do to counter that. I mean, or to get better at performing on a non-familiar setup. I mean, now most of us have changed to using mice that have like they force the frequency and stuff like that. So it's easier to get the same feeling. But I really don't know what we could do except for just keep on attending LANs. I mean, it's not like we're sad, really. Yeah, well, of course we want to do well, but we know that it's not because we can't play at LAN, and I'm sure we'll show it at this LAN. So we just keep on going, and well, hopefully we'll improve.
Well, let's move away from reason for a little bit. I've grilled you enough, I think. A very aggressive questioning technique, but it's because I know you. I feel comfortable doing that. Very games are here. Everyone's thinking that maybe their time's over because they lost a LAN, and all of that jazz. What do you think?
I think they're still favorites to win. I mean, they lost Max LAN, but you have to think about that 3D Max who beat them. Like, the only thing they wanted to do was, the only thing they concentrated on was beating Very Games. I mean, I don't think, personally, I still thought that Very Games was the best team in Europe. I've also said this on Cadrid before, that if Very Games had to play all teams in the top 10, for example, and 3D Max had to do the same, I think Very Games would beat the most teams, even though 3D Max... I agree with
that as well.
Yeah, because 3D Max might just be good at playing Very Games. I mean, they're obviously also a good team, but yeah, I still think Very Games are the favorites.
What about teams that we should be watching then? And a lot of people talk about Brazilians, there's Russians, but I think maybe there's some Danish teams as well. I mean, like Copenhagen Wolves have really surprised me already just in the Danish Championships because, well, I mean, it is surprising when Rugger drops 25 at a LAN, isn't it? I mean, let's be honest about it. And I had my doubts about Device. He looks a very good player. Yeah. I mean, who do you think are going to be the dark horses? Who's going to upset the odds?
Well, I think that Copenhagen Wolves, I mean, if they get lucky, or if they don't get unlucky, they could surprise people a lot, because people are just expecting, when they see Rugger's name, I mean, they just think 7th to 8th at best. But I mean, they can really do some damage. They have, I mean, at least 3 of their players are like, I mean, Herden, Device, and Nico. Those 3 guys, if they're all having a good game, then no team can be safe. I mean, they could beat everyone. But also Speedgaming, I think. They have some interesting strats and also a few players that can really do some damage.
Okay, well, I'll come back to reason as we wrap it up, because that's probably the subject you can give us the most insight into. What's the minimum? I mean, you guys have had a huddle. I know what you like. I know what Fetish is like. Henrik will certainly have made his views on it all clear. What is the bare minimum you guys need to do for yourselves, but also just to guarantee preserving that future that some people are speculating about?
Well, I mean, obviously, not coming through to the playoffs would be very disappointing for us. I mean, so a top 8, and from there, it's pretty much just our goal this time is just, when we're in the top 8, we just want to play well. I mean, I have no clue how the brackets are going to be. if we see the brackets, then we can comment on how far we think we should get. But I mean, top 8, and from there we'll just take it as it comes.
That's great. It's a very humble view. Thanks so much for talking to us. And of course, to all the people out there on the website, make sure you stay tuned to cadred.org. We're going to have lots more extra coverage through the night from here at Copenhagen Games.